Assalamualaikum and a very good morning, everyone. I hope everyone is doing great. And if you're ready, then let's start our lesson for today. So before we start, I want you to have a look at these two sentences that I took from the passage in page 24, which is about the Radford's family. If you guys remember, we have go through the text during our previous lesson. So the first sentence, every school day, the children get up early and have breakfast at 6:45 a.m. While the second sentence is Noel gets up at 4:45 a.m., has breakfast and goes to work in his bakery. So the reason why I want you to look at these two sentences is that I want you to compare and see if you guys can spot any difference between the two sentences. So do you guys notice any differences? If you don't, then I'll tell you what is different. So first, the differences can be seen in the highlighted words. As you can see in the first sentence, the first highlighted words is get up. So in the first sentence it is get up, but in the second sentence the word is changed to gets up. Meanwhile, another word is have breakfast and in the first sentence, but it is changed to has breakfast in the second sentence. So, do you guys know why are they different? Because these explain today's lesson. The lesson for today is going to be on present simple tense, and I want you to refer to your English Plus textbook, page 25. I'm going to explain to you about present simple tense today, and which explains why the previous first sentence and the second sentence are different. So there are two forms of present simple tense. The first one is present simple affirmative and the second one is present simple negative. So now the first thing that I am going to teach is present simple affirmative form. So usually when we construct sentences or when we write sentences, surely we will have a subject and also a verb, right? A subject is who is the person who is doing the action, and verb refers to what is the action. So in forming a present simple affirmative, there are a few rules that you have to consider, and we will go through the rules one by one. So the first rule is that if the subject is the first and second person singular forms, which are I and also you, the verb used must be the root word. For example, I swim in the river, you read the newspaper. So there are no changes made to the verb if the subject is I and you. Similarly, for all plural forms such as we, they, or anything that is more than one, as in Ahmad and Abu, there are two persons, right? So all similar to the first and second person singular form, for we, they, and also anything that is more than one, you also have to use the infinitive form of the verb, meaning the root word. For example, we walk to school and also they study English. For the third rule, if the subject is the third person singular form, which is he, she, or it, the verb followed after the subject must be added an S. So for example, he walks home, she plays badminton, it eats fish. Now I want you to look at these sentences and Tell me which sentence match the spelling rules that I have explained before, which is the third rule of present simple affirmative, in which we have to add an S for the third person singular subject. And the answer is D. I get up at 7 a.m. Noel gets up at 4:45 a.m. So as you can see in the first sentence, the subject is I, so the verb used is the root word. There are no changes made. Meanwhile, for the second sentence, Noel, the subject is Noel, which is a he, so the verb there is an S added. So it becomes Noel gets up at 4:45 a.m. Okay. However, there are also some exceptions, meaning that not all verbs we can just simply add S. So for verbs ending with O, sh, ch, and also X, you don't add an S, but instead you add an ES. For example, the verb do, it ends with an O, right? So we add ES instead of S. Then it becomes does. The second example is wash. It ends with sh. So we add an ES, it becomes washes. As for the third one, the verb catch, it is supposed to be catch, C-A-T-C-H. It ends with a ch, so we have to add an ES, it becomes catches. And for the last example, fix, it ends with an X, so if we add ES, it becomes fixes. Now again, I want you to look at these sentences and which sentence match the spelling rules. The answer is C. My brother and I go to school and he goes to work. As we can see, the verb here is go, G-O, and it ends with an O. So for the third person singular subject, if it is a he, then you have to add an ES. It becomes goes. He goes to work. Another exception, the verbs ending with consonant and also Y. For example, dry. R is a consonant and then Y. So if we come across verbs like this, we have to remove the Y and add IES. So it becomes dries. Next, cry, remove the Y and add IES, it becomes cries. And the last one, fly, remove the Y, it becomes flies. Remove the Y and add IES, so it becomes flies. So now compare the sentences again and which sentence match the spelling rules. The answer is A. I study a lot. Her daughter studies a lot. So as we can see, the verb here is study and it ends with a consonant plus Y. So for the third person singular form, if we want to change the verb, we have to remove the Y and add IES. So it becomes studies. The last exception is the verb have. So if the subject is I, you, we, they, or more than one, if the verb is have, so for a singular, the third person singular form, he, she, and it, you have to use has. For example, if the verb is have a job, if you want to change it, it becomes has a job. So now lastly, look at these sentences and decide which sentence match the spelling rules. The answer is B. We have breakfast at 7:30 a.m. He has breakfast. So as you can see in the first sentence, the subject is we, so the verb used is have. But in the second sentence, the subject is he, so the verb used is has. After present simple affirmative, we also have present simple negative. For present simple negative, we add don't or doesn't after I, you, we, they, he, she, and it to make negative sentences. To make it more simple, we add don't or doesn't after the subject and before the verb. So meaning that we have subject, don't or doesn't, and also verb. So for the subjects, we, and they, we use don't. Meanwhile, for he, she, and it, we use doesn't. So in negative sentences, the main verb sometimes or never ends with s. So for you to understand better, now let's look at some examples. Okay, let's look at some examples. The first sentence. When he has a break, he doesn't relax. As we can see, the subject here is he, so we are going to use doesn't. And unlike present simple affirmative, for present simple negative, you don't have to add an s or es to the verb, meaning you use the root word after doesn't. So for the second sentence, the younger children don't help. So as we can see, children here is plural, so we use don't. And number 3, Sue doesn't watch TV a lot. Sue is a she, and it is a third person singular form, so we use doesn't. Meanwhile, number 4, the Radfords don't usually go to the restaurants or to the cinema because it's expensive. So the Radfords is plural, therefore we use don't. So that's all. So now that I have explained to you about present simple affirmative and present simple negative, I hope you can understand, and please complete these tasks given. The first task is that I want you to build 3 sentences describing your daily routines or others' daily routines. It can be your family members' daily routines or your friend, but make sure you follow the rules of present simple affirmative and also present simple negative. So here I have done some example for you guys. Example of daily routines. I get up at 6 a.m. in the morning every day. City cycles every evening. So write 3 sentences about your daily routines or others' daily routines and write them down on a piece of paper. Snap a photo of your work and send it personally to me via WhatsApp. Okay, that is for task 1. Now for task 2, I need you to answer a quiz using the link given in the WhatsApp group and then screenshot your marks and send it personally to me through WhatsApp. So that's it. That's for the task. That's all for today. So thank you for joining today's class, and I really hope that you can understand, but if you don't, please don't hesitate to ask me anything. Anything you can ask. So yeah, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me. Thank you.